Hi, this is Tui McLean. You're watching Phase 9 TV, and we're here at the Raindance Film Festival talking to Laura Plancarte about her new film, Siblings. Laura, for those who haven't seen the film, could you just tell us a bit about it?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Tui, for having me here. And Siblings is a film about a fresh perspective on immigration between Mexico and the US. And I say it's a fresh perspective because we have seen always films that either portray the view of the Mexicans or portray the view of the Americans. And what it is about this film that is completely different is that you will see a parallel that actually mirrors the reality from the United States with the reality of Mexico. We have much more in common to what we want to look at and what we want to assimilate. And I think for me that had been the challenge, was how to make it work, telling a story that the characters from the outside seem so different, but when you meet them, when you go into a deeper level, you obviously realize that they want the same things, that poverty is poverty here and there, that everybody wants that so-called, the American dream, and everybody at the end has a situation of looking for their family in many ways in life. You look for your sense of belonging, where do you come from? And I think that this film tells us this story in a very fresh and very different way.
And what was it that first inspired you to tackle the topic?
Well, the first thing actually that inspired me, I think, is being Mexican, being born and raised in Mexico, because from all my life what I have been hearing is Mexico and the United States, they fight, they make up, they fight, they make up, they fight harder, they make up, they fight even harder, they make up, and it's like a non-stop story. And I always saw a relationship as like a really bad marriage, where the stronger partner beats up the weaker one, and the weaker one actually accepts it. And I said, we have such a toxic, codependent relationship, and it's just, we need to really mature and see it from a different perspective, because we are neighbors and we share one of the largest borders in the world, and I think it's the most transited border in the world, and I don't think that's going to change. And we are so intertwined that I think this hate speech that has been coming up, I think it doesn't bring anything good to the table and only makes things much harder, because we need to come together, because both countries depend on the other economically and socially. The United States cannot keep on their economy without not only the Mexicans, but without the illegal Mexicans, which is really sad. And Mexico cannot be without the economy of the United States, for the trading and for many reasons. And socially, we have created a third culture, which we should celebrate actually, because actually I think the mix is incredible and can take benefits from and enrich from both cultures. And I think actually this third culture is going to be very powerful in the future. And we should celebrate it and not push it down. So I think it's a film that I have always wanted to make. And after my first film, I was able to meet the Mexican brothers from this region, and I knew immediately, okay, I want to work with these two guys, because they were the perfect example of seeing how the American dream is much more complex than just bettering your economy. It is about having opportunities economically. I'm not going to say that it's no. It is, of course. In Mexico, we need to face that we are not giving our people what they need. But I think the American dream has always also become something that is mythical. People in Mexico go and say, I am going to go to America and everything in my life is going to change. And that means family, a divorce, an illness, everything will be cured by the United States, which obviously is not going to happen. And I saw that what they were, these two brothers that were abandoned by their mother when their father died, what they were really looking for in their search to go to the United States was they were looking for their mother. The mother that abandoned them because she was so sad, because she was 19 when she became a widow and she had these children and she didn't know what to do. And she unfortunately took this decision of leaving her children and going to the US with the pretext of, I'm going to support them. But she didn't. She forgot about them, and today she lives in the US and she has legal papers now, but she broke her family. And in the film, what we see is that these brothers come and meet with their mother after so many years. And through that, actually, I traveled to the US because I wanted to show the voices of the Americans who were living the part when Trump was being the candidate. And that's how I met the American woman who is the parallel of the brothers in this story. And it was surreal, that meeting. Something very unexpected, because suddenly an American woman came to be interviewed. And behind the camera, she started talking to me, and I found her very charismatic and a warm person. And this is when you realize how we can communicate. She is American and she is pro-Trump and voted for Trump, and obviously I'm Mexican and I'm against it. But we could communicate, and she felt comfortable enough to tell me her personal story. And when she told me her personal story is when I saw, this is how I'm making the mirror, because her story, even though from the outside looks very different to the story of the Mexican brothers, is exactly the same. She's looking for that same mythical American dream. She lost her home in 2008 due to the economic world crisis. And unfortunately, because of this hate speech and this speech that is going on politically, people are believing, okay, I lost it because of the immigrants, when nothing has to do with immigration. The economic world crisis had nothing to do with immigration. And the jobs that she's applying for are not the jobs that people like Tui and Chato, the Mexican brothers, apply for. She's not applying for a job to work on the fields, collecting strawberries. She's applying for other kinds of jobs that are not available right now for her because the American economy, like the world economy, came down. So it was very interesting to see how she has explained in herself her American dream is to get that back, and she believes that she will get it back through Trump's promises. But what she's really looking for is the same as the brothers. When she was a little girl, what she wanted is to be loved by her father. And her father was an absent father from German heritage, worked very hard, but didn't have time to be with her, to educate her, and she had a handicapped sister that took all the attention. And since then, she has been falling from one bad relationship until another one. And it's because what she's really looking for is this male figure that will come, embrace her, take care of her, and she's looking for her father. So in the same way that the brothers say, I'm going to go to the US looking for the American dream, and what they're really looking for is their mother, she is saying, I'm getting the American dream through Trump, and what she's really looking for is the father. And that's the way I said, this is perfect to make this story, this mirror, into saying, we are not that different. And I wanted to make a film about immigration that says, we are all human beings. We all suffer, and we need to be able to stand in the other person's shoes in order to come up with new ideas to tackle this problem, which is clearly not being tackled at all well. And that's how I met the characters and everything.
You touched on some really nice points there. You mentioned the family being reunited in Mexico. Also, you touched on Vanessa. There's a moment in the film where she talks to camera and she says about how she's basically lost her RV and has to live with friends. They're obviously very kind of emotional, moving moments. What's it like to be present filming something so raw?
Well, that's actually, it's a really important question, and it's a question that, for me, it needs to open also another discussion. I think as we need to talk about these problems of immigration, I think we also need to talk about the role of filmmakers in people's lives. Because I think making documentary has great responsibility and touches many and asks many questions regarding ethics. Because it's when and until where do you go, and how is your relationship with the people that are working with you, with the contributors? Because in a way, it's like we don't want to make films that touch social issues to exploit more the people that actually are living it. And it's a really difficult and a complicated question, and it's very, very difficult to live with it. Because I'm a filmmaker that doesn't believe that a greater good, justifies, making someone feel I don't know how to say, uncomfortable or exposed in a way that they don't want to be exposed. So it is very difficult, and when I have been there, I think there's the two moments in the film that you can see is when Vanessa loses everything and we're in the car and obviously she's not happy, and when the mother with the brothers go in the car and the confrontation between them comes is, why did you leave us? And I'm inside the car too. They were very, very difficult moments for me, and what I try to remember myself is to try to keep myself as out as I can. So it's not me trying to push it, but let it be the situation that they are facing as it is. And then afterwards, I think the big job comes between me and the editor of the film. And it's how to edit it in a way that obviously you are showing the people, but you try to show them with justice and that they have dignity. And that you don't play into any sensationalism, into trying to make it more soluble. And believe me, it's something that happens because obviously what you see in the film is a glimpse of what happened. And in that, a lot of people nowadays, unfortunately, are making really sensationalist pieces. And I'm very, very against that. I don't believe in that. I don't think it brings anything to the conversation, adds anything to any kind of change, and it's just in order to make people look and exactly maybe more ratings. But I don't think it makes me really angry to see things like that. So it is very difficult to work with real people because exactly as you say, they are not actors. It is happening in their lives, and it's really sad when you see them getting poorer or being confronted and say, why didn't you love us? Or why nobody loves me? And it's really hard. And the only way that I can tell you that I can live with it is that I think at the end, I think the people that have actually worked on the film with me, they're comfortable with what they have done. And that for me is the secret. And I'm comfortable to sit with them and watch the film. But I think it's a subject that, thank you for asking, because I think it's a subject that actually in filmmakers we need to make like a forum and discuss it more with the people. And I actually went to something very, very interesting a couple of weeks ago that is called The Sixth Wall, that is from Open City Talks, that is making something about encouraging these conversations between directors and contributors, asking where are the limits, how is does that relationship work, because it is a kind of strange relationship.
What one message do you hope that audiences take from the film?
For me, I think the most important message is that things are not black and white, that we want to live in a simple reality and we want to tag things bad, good, this is this is that, but the reality is that things are not like that. I think the reality that we live in is pretty complex, is multicolored, is multi-layered, and we need to accept it. And we need to accept it and embrace it. And it is difficult because we like certainty. We like the simplicity of seeing, oh, those are the bad guys, these are the good guys. But it doesn't work that way. It's very frustrating. And we won't have any change unless we start, accepting it and embracing it in a way. And that's for me the most important message.
Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you.